Hey guys, welcome back to the channel The Growing Developer. In this video we'll learn about all the basic Flutter widgets, and this video might be a bit lengthy, but trust me, this is full of information and I'll discuss all the widgets that you must know to build any Flutter, all the basic widgets, right? How to align widgets and how to arrange the widgets in the order that we want. So stay tuned, watch the whole video because I have also discussed some errors that we generally make and how to resolve that errors too. Okay guys, so this is where we left in our last video. In our last video we saw the working of a scaffold, different parameters that it takes, like the background color, the app bar, the floating action button, and the body parameter. Now in this video we'll see all the basic widgets that Flutter provides. For that, let's open our browser and go to flutter.dev, open it, go to docs, open widgets catalog and open basics. Now here you can see all the basic widgets that you absolutely need to know before building a first Flutter app, right? So we saw the scaffold, right? We saw the text widget, the implementation of text widget. Now next, let's start from the first, that is an app bar. Let's minimize it. In app bar we saw all the different parameters like the background color, the title. Let's check all the other parameters that it has. It has elevation. Let's give it an elevation, say 20. Will it take it? Let's run it and you can see the elevation. Now in the last video I told you what is elevation. It adds the shadow effect to the widget, that is, it creates a 3D like effect. So you can see that the app bar is elevated from the body, right? In some apps we prefer giving elevation as 0, that is, we need the app bar to be a part of the scaffold itself, right? Let's say it's all the business requirement or how you want to design your app, right? Next we have is actions bottom. So let's check what is leading. So what does an English word leading means? We use the words as leading from the front, right? So anything that you pass in the leading section will come before the title, that is here. So let's pass another text maybe, because we have learned only about text, right? So in this text we will pass leading. Now if I run it, there you go. You can see the leading comes in front of the title, right? Now let's remove this as it is looking very ugly. Next, just reload it so that it does. Okay, fine. Now next is our actions. Now actions take a list of widgets. These square brackets tell us that it takes a list, right? So why list? You would have seen in many apps that you get many icons after the title, that is like your search icon, your profile icon. So in this actions, if I write another text, right, I'll say actions and rerun it, and you can see an action being displayed here. So if I write another as action 2, let's see what happens. There you go, you get another action. So based on the order that you give, you'll get different widgets here. We are using text widgets here right now, but further when we'll learn about all the icons and other widgets, we'll use them to make our app more beautiful, right? So let's remove this. So these were some parameters that AppBar takes. So this is almost most of the things that you need to know about the AppBar. Now let's move on to the next widget. Our next widget is column. Before column, now let's see what our container does. So what is a container? A container that just contains something, a box you can say, right? So instead of this, let me remove all this. Okay, so I'm removing this text from here, right? So in body, let me pass just a container. Okay, let's run it. Now you can see nothing is displayed here. Why? Because this container is empty. So if you do not pass anything on the container, it just takes no space, right? Now let's see what parameters does it have. It takes a child, it has some color property, some decoration, width, height. Firstly, let's go with child. Child is a widget. In child, you have to pass a widget that will be contained by the container. Simple. So in child, I can pass a text like learning steadily. The same text will be passed. So let's just run it. And you can see a text that is contained in this container, right? Now what if I give it some height? Let's give it a height of 100 pixels. Now let's run it. So you don't see a change. Why? As I said, container is by itself transparent and it does not have any color property. Okay, or rather I can say it doesn't have any color by default. So it has a property known as color. If I pass colors dot orange, let's stick with orange, right, and run it, you can see a container that is of the width of the text and height 100 pixels, right? Let's give it a gray color and let's try giving it some width. For width, I'll give 200, maybe 200. Let's run it again, and you can see it is having a width 200. We want to align the text in the center. Remember which widget we used? Correct, the center widget. So we'll click on the text, click on this bulb, and we'll go to wrap with center. Right, now let's run it, and you can see our text is placed right in the center of the container. Now for styling the text, we have a style parameter that we discussed in the last video. We'll give it a text style and the size would be say 30 maybe. Let's run it again. It's actually more visible. See, it automatically aligned itself according to the size. Now next would be, let's see what all does it have. Padding, margin. Let's go to padding. Okay, to give any widget some padding, we have another widget or another class that is known as edge insets, right? Wait a minute. Edge insets. edge insets dot. Now if we give all dot all, that is, it will give padding from all the edges. Now in this function we have to pass how much padding do we need. Let's give it 5 pixels. Let's try to run it, and you can see this text was given a padding of 5 pixels from each side. Let's give it 20 and see. There you go. So our text is hidden behind the container. Why? Because the padding was more than the available space. So we can decrease the size as 25 and try. There you go. It's now visible. In other words, if we want to contain a widget to a specific size, that is, I don't want the text to increase its size or rather spread to the area that I don't want. That is, see if I give it a size of 30, but for my requirement the text should be shown in this much area only. Now if I try increasing the text and run it, you can see the text can not be shown. Why? Because this text was contained by these constraints, that is, that it has to follow height 100 and width 200 pixels only. Now it can't reach beyond that, it can't spread beyond the values that we give. So that's pretty much about the container. We have other parameters too, like the decoration, alignment, constraints. We'll learn about all the parameters as we develop a real world application, right? Yes, very soon we'll be developing a real world application, and stay tuned for that. Now next is our column. Now body is taking only one widget, right? This much is clear. Now this body will take only one widget, and if we pass only one widget, how can we align, or rather how can we arrange different widgets according to our requirement? That is, what if we want to show different containers in a vertical direction, that is, one this, another of blue color and another of green color? How would you show that? For that there is a widget known as column. So let's open the documentation of column and see what it does. Now this column will align all the widgets in a vertical manner. Now let's see it in action. Now I'll just remove this container, I'll just cut it, and instead of that container I'll give it a column, right? Now this column takes children as a parameter. Now in this children, see again we got a list. Now in this list I'll just pass that container, I'm just pasting that container. Now as a second child I'll pass the same container. Let's copy it and paste it below. I'll pass the same container but with the color, say, blue, and run it again. Now you can see I can align as much as widgets I want in a vertical manner, right? Let's give it a width of, say, 500. For this also, let me give it 500. So as you can see, we can align our widgets in a vertical manner. Let's paste some more container. Oh, I'm so sorry. This time I'll give it a color, say, green. And one more container. with the color as purple maybe. Let's run it. So you can see we have 4 widgets that are aligned in a vertical order. Now I want to show you some error here. Let's give it a height 200 and this also 200. Let's try running it. So as you can see, the widgets are still ordered in a vertical manner. Let's give it 200 height and the below container 100 height. Now there you go. You can see some zigzag lines here. That is, let's see what is the error. A render flex overflowed by 4 pixels on the bottom. Now as you can conclude that column is not scrollable. That is, let me just give it 150 height and see if it works. Okay, so it is working now because some space is still left. Now column should always be used in the cases where we know that our content will fit in the screen. If our content is not fitting in the screen, then we have to use another widget that is known as list view. Now let's see. Instead of column, I can simply write list view. Now what does list view do? List view just makes it a list. That is, list is always scrollable, right? So we'll just run it and now let's see. It is scrollable. That is, if I give the bottom container as 200 height, or rather let's give 400, right? Now let's run it and you can see I can scroll and see the content of the last container, right? Now let's discuss some properties of column first, then list view. So I'll give it only 150 height and change it back to column to see other aspects of column, right? Now let's see the other parameters of the column widget. Press Ctrl plus space to see the options. Now we have cross-axis alignment and main axis alignment. Let's go to cross-axis alignment. Rather, let me just show you first. What do we mean? Let's give it a width of 200 and run it. Now you can see that the content, or rather the first container, is automatically aligned to center. Now this is our cross-axis alignment and this is our main axis alignment. See the direction of the mouse pointer here. This is our main axis alignment and this is our cross-axis alignment, right? So by default, cross-axis alignment is center. Now let's give it a cross-axis alignment dot start, right? Cross-axis alignment takes another value of type cross-axis alignment, and start is that this will be aligned to the start, that is towards the left side of the screen. Let's run it and see. There you go. You can see that the content is aligned to the left of the screen. Similarly, I can give it a value of int and this will be aligned to the right side of the screen. So you can play with it, right? So now let's see the next widget that we have. The next widget we have already covered the container, the AppBar, the column, and next is our FlutterLogo. So what is a FlutterLogo? Nothing, just a logo of Flutter, right? It's a widget form of a FlutterLogo. So instead of this text here, just remove this text till here. Instead of this text, I can pass Flutter logo, right? I'll just run it and see what does happen. There you go. It is very small in size, right? So we'll just remove the center from here. There you go. So you can see a logo of Flutter. Now this Flutter logo is just a widget form of our logo. So next, that's it. Just for your visualizing or showing purpose, that they have made a widget form of Flutter logo. Nothing else. We might not be using it many a times in our application, right? So next is our icons. So yes. Now let's see how we can embed icons in our widgets. So let me just remove this text from here. Till this bracket, right? Yes. So I'll pass a widget known as icon. So this container will contain an icon which is aligned to center because of the center widget. Is it fine? Now inside this parameter we have to pass which icon. So in Flutter they have made a class with the name icons. Now using this class or using this object, you can define which icon you have to show. Right, icons dot, and you can see different icons that is predefined or pre-built in Flutter, right? Now let me just search, give it a search, and you can also see the icon that it will give. Press enter and run the app. Now you can see instead of that text we got a icon, but a comma, and you also have a size property. Inside size, let's pass 40 to make it of a bigger size. Now there you go, it is of size 40. Now tell me, where else can we use this icon? Correct, in our app bar. Now which property defines the widget to be placed after the title? The actions property, right? In actions, we'll pass the same icon, icons dot search, and let's just give it a run. And you can see we have our icon. Now next, let's put another icon here. Write icons dot, and you can see all the icons. So let me just pass home maybe, right? So just run it, and you can see another icon here. So we have two more icons. Let's give it some size so they are more visible. 40, not 30. That is more better, right? And here 30, same as 30. So now we have two icons in our app bar that don't do anything, right? So we'll see all other properties of icon. Let's see here only. Color, sure, we can give it some color. Let's give it a black color. Done it, and you can see we gave it a black color. Now why is it that this icon was shown as black here but it was shown in white here? The reason is the app bar follows a white colored theme for its content, whereas the body or the scaffold follows a black colored theme for its content. By default, all the icons will have a black color, but as the icons were placed in an app bar, it follows the theme that is given to the app bar. So you can see the text that we wrote here inside this container was of color black, because by default the text color is black. But the same text when written inside an app bar was of color white. The reason is the theme of an app bar defines the color to be white. So let's change it to blue, maybe it's blue gray. Let's try the blue gray color only. So you can see a blue grayish color is there. So it's not looking that good, but let's stick with that color only, right? So now we have learned how to use icon. Next, let's see what is the next widget. Image widget, placeholder widget. Before image and placeholder, let's see what a row does. Now, what was the work of a column? Column aligns all our widget in a vertical manner. Similarly, row will align our widgets in a horizontal manner. Now suppose I'll give you a problem. Suppose we have to place a text after this search widget, that is after this search icon I have to write a text as search. So let's see, where is our icon? There you go. So how can I write a text after this search? For that we use row. Now let's see, I'll remove this icon from here, or rather just cut this and write row here. Now in row it takes list of widget as a children, right? Inside this children, let me just paste that icon that we just removed, and after this icon I'll write a text widget which says search. Let's run it and see what happens. There you go. I can see a search text after this icon. Let's just increase the size so that it is more visible. Now you know how to increase the size or how to give styling to a text, right? So I'll give it a size of 30 pixels and you can see that now it is more visible. Now see, even after wrapping this row inside a center widget, the row itself got aligned to the left of the screen. Why? Now in column, the cross-axis alignment was from left to right. In row, it is the main axis alignment. So if I write main axis alignment as main axis alignment dot center, now let's see what happens. It got aligned to the center, right? For row, this is the main axis alignment and this is the cross axis alignment, right? The axis to which a widget expands is the main axis alignment. For row, the widget expands to this side, that is, it expands horizontally. So the horizontal axis is the main axis and the vertical axis is the cross axis. For column, the column expands in the vertical direction. So the vertical axis would be the main axis and the horizontal axis would be the cross axis, right? This was the row, and inside row we align all the widgets. So if we have to write something after an icon or after a logo, then we use the row widget, right? Now what if I say I want two containers like this? Suppose this is a container, this is right now empty space. Let's say it is a container of color white. Now I want one container which is having text and icon, and one container which is having a Flutter logo. How would I make this? Right. Now let's see in the third container. Now instead of this container, or rather in this child, can I give a row? See, I want two containers to be aligned in a horizontal manner, right? Inside row, we have our children parameter, and inside children, I will pass two containers. Now, as these containers are having no parameters, as we haven't defined any parameter inside the container. Now, these Flutter will treat it as transparent space or empty spaces. So we'll see nothing inside the container, right? Let's give this container a width of 100 and a color of colors dot, which color do you want? Let's give it a green accent color. And for the next container, I'll give it a width of 200 and a color of, let's say, which color do you want? Indigo accent maybe. Let's give it a run and see what happens. Now you can see two containers having width 100 and 200 respectively, right? Let's increase its width to 200 so that it is more similar. Okay, so for rows also, it cannot expand to the extent of the screen. That is, suppose we have only 500 pixels for our screen, it cannot expand further to the 500 mark. For that, we use list view only, but I'll write list view here, but by default list view is scrollable to the vertical direction. For a row, I want to scroll it to the horizontal direction, or I want to scroll it in the horizontal direction. So I'll write as it has a parameter known as scroll direction. Inside this scroll direction, I'll write axis dot horizontal, right? Let's give it a run and see what happens. Now the error is gone because I can now scroll it to the horizontal plane, right? In the horizontal axis I can scroll. So to make anything scrollable, or rather to make a row scrollable, we can convert it into list view and change the scroll direction to axis dot horizontal. By default it is axis dot vertical, right? For columns we can simply write list views and it will be scrollable. Now I want to add some text here and a Flutter logo here. So I can simply give text as child in container. I will give first widget, and the next container in the child property I'll give it a Flutter logo, right? So let's give it a run and see what happens. There you go. We got a logo in the next container and a text widget. Now this was our row and column. We learned about the AppBar. Yeah, this app is looking pretty much meaningless, but see how much we have embedded in this app. We saw how an AppBar functions, what are the different parameters that an AppBar takes, what is a row, what are column, and we saw how to embed some icons in our app. Now in the next video we'll see how to embed an image in our app, and we'll start building a portfolio app a single page portfolio app. So stay tuned for all the updates. Don't forget to subscribe the channel if you haven't already. Please like the video, share the video to your friends too, and in the next video we'll start building a portfolio app. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. Have a nice day.